Okay, so this is going to be the third and final part to this very long demo. I'm sure you're probably as glad as I am that it's getting close to the end here. So I have more artboards than you will. I've got 6 right now. You'll have 4. Remember, you'll have your original, it doesn't really matter where it's at, but then you'll have the 3 variations on color. As I kind of went through these and I used the recolor tool, I'm kind of leaning more towards the yellow betta fish with a purple background or purple fins. It's kind of a nice complementary color scheme. Now it's in pretty bad shape. All my fills are just one solid color right now, and same thing with the fins. They're just kind of like one general purple, and I've got some mismatched pieces in here that I need to go back through. But that doesn't even really matter because at this point I'm going to start to add uh, tonality through gradients. So shadows and highlights, I'm really going to develop the modeling of the fish itself or whatever character you're working with. So in order to do this effectively, I need to set up at least one gradient. Now, hopefully you'll use more than just one, but at a minimum, one gradient can really add a lot of three-dimensionality to these 2D objects. Like somebody said in class last time, they tend to look a little bit like stained glass, and that's not a bad thing, but you don't want them to appear very flat. So pushing a gradient in there to show shadows and highlights are really going to create the illusion of rounding edges or volume. So I'm going to start right here with maybe this big chunk, oops, right maybe here, so I can kind of see what I'm doing. So right now it's just got a common yellow fill. In order to get a gradient, you're going to have to go to your default swatches. And if you're not seeing these swatches, you're going to go to your libraries, default swatches, and you can choose art and illustration or print. Either one of these will be just fine. What you're looking for are gradients. And you'll notice that inside of your swatches, you actually have gradients in here, gradients, and take a look. I got all types to choose from, so maybe I'll actually start here. I have no idea what most of these look like. So is there anything that says animals? No. I got skin tones. That's interesting. Tints and shades. It could be kind of cool. Water. Well, it's a fish, maybe. Yeah, I'll try water to see what it looks like. Well, as you might imagine, it goes from different kinds of blue. So that might be a good jumping off point. Or let's see what else there was. I'll go back to those gradients. Earth tones, possibly. I don't know. Metals. I don't know. Fades. Eh. Well, I think I'm just going to have to do it myself. All right, so I'm just going to have one selected. It doesn't matter which gradient you choose. Maybe I'll start right up here with the default. This is the yellow to orange. Click on it. Okay, so maybe you like that. I highly doubt it. You're going to want to modify it. And in order to do this, like we did last year, we're going to have to set our gradient editor. Now, your gradient editor is on the right-hand side. It kind of looks like a gradient. It goes from left to right. Remember, this is our gradient ramp. It's got way too many colors, so I'm just going to click, hold, and drag and start to pull these off. Or you can select them and just click the trash icon. Remember, at a minimum, you have to have 2 color stops. Otherwise, it won't be a gradient. It would just be a solid color. So I want to change this, and I think I'm going to work. I kind of like that yellow to orange, but maybe I'll make it a little bit more orange. So you can set it up this way, pick colors, or you can use the ramps here. So I'll push this a little bit closer to orange. That looks pretty nice. Okay. So if I create this and I like it, it stands to reason that I'm going to want to save it. To save a swatch or a gradient, I'm just going to click, hold, and drag and push it up in my swatches palette. I could even double click it and call it fish body. Now I might have several different types of swatches, but for right now I'm just going to get started with this. I'm going to rubber band select a whole bunch of pieces here and apply that swatch to them. And just like that, that actually looks pretty good, oddly enough. Maybe I'll grab all of these, put that gradient, and yeah, so I don't like the direction that some of these are going, but other ones doesn't look too bad, so I could just very quickly maybe grab a few more of these. And you can see I accidentally grabbed that base, which I didn't want, but I'll just keep going. Maybe I'll use the lasso for this. Just click, hold, and drag. Select a bunch of these. And go back to that base color and choose purple just so I can see the difference. Using global colors might not be a bad idea either. Alright, so let me do a gradient for the purples. Select this. I'll choose different gradient. And I don't want white to black. I will choose a purple. And I'll go from purple to maybe a blue, dark blue. It doesn't look, I don't know. I don't really care for that. Maybe I'll choose a lighter purple. Okay, and the blue doesn't look too bad, but I'm going to change it a little bit, add a little bit more purple. Okay, I think I can live with that. All right, so that will be my basis for the fins. I'll just go ahead and click, hold, and drag, pull that in my swatches, and I'm going to label it fins. Okay, grab a few more of these. I'm just holding the shift key down to select multiple instances, or if I'm smart, I could probably use the wand tool and tell the wand tool to look for fill color within 32 points. So if I grab this blue, it sees the rest of these blues, and then I can just fill those. Same thing here, fill those. All right, moving along at a pretty nice pace. Yeah, not too bad. All right, now it's time to adjust these gradients because they're not going in the right direction. Some of them on the face look pretty good, but around here on the body, I don't think it's making it more flat than it really should look. So I've got a few more wedges here that I missed. Zoom in here, grab these two. All right, so how do you change the angle of the gradient or add more colors to it or whatever? I'll start right here with this one. The best tool for this, you could certainly use this gradient slider and change the angles here to kind of get a different look. But I think the best way to do this in real time to get real-time feedback is right here. This is your gradient tool. So if you hit G, you'll see you do need a shape selected. If nothing's selected and you use your gradient tool, nothing's going to happen because it doesn't know what to grab. So make sure that you have something selected. Use the gradient tool. And then this little slider right here, if I just click, hold, and drag, I can change the angle. And I think I'm going to have the yellow coming from the upper right. I could click, hold, and drag and change the sliders. I could even alter the colors right here on the fly. So maybe I'll add a little bit more red to this. Pretty cool. All right, now I'm going to V, grab this. It looks like I accidentally moved this over just a bit. So if this happens, and it probably has happened to quite a few of you, I'm going to use the direct select tool, my A tool, click, hold, and drag, and just move these anchor points to fill in any of those gaps. All right, get that V tool again. V is your move tool, G for your selection, and click, hold, and drag. And now I'm just going to change all of these to kind of mirror the ones next door. Maybe I'll set this to a little bit more red. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. I'm going to change the angle just a little bit so it doesn't look like it's blending in with the other one. It's hard to tell the difference. So again, I'm going to get that G tool. Maybe I'll scale this up a little bit. Because I don't want these two to blend together. That looks pretty nice. And I'm just going to rinse and repeat. Just kind of keep going through these. Get my G tool. Pretty much for every shape, you'll want some type of gradient. The one thing I didn't really talk about are blend modes, because these projects can definitely benefit from blend modes, but if you don't have two layers sitting on top of one another, they're not going to really do anything. So it's probably best just to work with gradients. If you have questions about using blends to create a little bit more of a dynamic quality, certainly let me know. Take a look. I've selected 3 different shapes. Now if I hit the G tool, there should be a slider for each one. They must have changed that in the update. You used to be able to select multiple objects and then change the gradient of multiple shapes. No longer. All right, so select this one, G. Oh, maybe it's because these don't have gradients? There we go. Yeah, so you can see multiples are selected. So let me add my gradient to those. Hit the G Yeah, there's 2 sliders. Okay, so now I can do this much quicker. Click, hold, and drag. Click, hold, and drag. So you could really select all of your shapes all at once and start to put gradients in there. But you can see the modeling is starting to form here. I'm liking where it's going. It's got a long way to go, but I'm definitely in the final stages here. The one that's really sticking out and glaring at me is this one. So let's make sure that I've got the right gradient. G. Let me try something a little bit different with this. Maybe do the ground up. Pull these sliders a bit closer together. Something like that. Okay. All right, keep with it. The stuff that I've been seeing in class looks really good, so just keep modeling. Make sure that you do have 4 artboards. You're going to ultimately save this as an Illustrator file, which most of you probably have, but to submit, it's going to be File, Save As. Make sure that you choose PDF and choose All Artboards. Label it your last name, and you should be good. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. Otherwise, good luck. I can't wait to see these.